All right, today we're going to talk about something that's basically the engine of the US economy. We're diving into the free enterprise system. But let's kick things off with a question. Have you ever really thought about how that coffee shop on your corner, or maybe the smartphone you're holding right now, went from just an idea in someone's head to a real, actual business? I mean, what makes that whole journey even possible?
Well, that incredible journey, from a simple thought to a company that's actually thriving, it doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It all takes place within a very specific economic framework. Think of it like the rules of a game, rules that shape pretty much everything about how we create, buy, and sell stuff.
And you know what? To really truly get the system we have today, we've got to jump in a time machine. We have to go back and look at what it replaced. It's a fascinating story, really, about breaking old rules just to make new ones.
Okay, so let's talk about those old rules. Way before the United States was even a country, the economy here was run by a totally different playbook. And let me tell you, it was a philosophy that caused a ton of friction.
That system, it was called mercantilism. And the core idea was honestly pretty simple. The colonies were there for one reason and one reason only: to make the mother country, in this case England, rich. That's it. Colonial trade was locked down tight. I mean, can you imagine? You're a merchant, you've got a great product, but you're told you can only sell it to one partner, even if someone else is offering you a way better deal. That was the reality for these folk. And when you put them side by side, the difference is just night and day. With mercantilism, trade was completely restricted, and the whole point was to funnel wealth back to England. Free enterprise completely flipped that script. Suddenly, individuals had the freedom to choose who they did business with, to build their own wealth. It was a massive shift, moving away from that rigid top-down control to something driven by individual ambition. And that desire for economic freedom, man, that was a powerful, powerful motivator. It's what led to the creation of a totally new economic engine, one designed from the ground up with a single goal: to empower the individual.
So this new engine, it runs on 5 key ingredients. First, the right to actually own private property. Second, the freedom to choose what you buy and what you sell. Third, competition, which is what really pushes us to come up with new and better things. Then there's the motive of self-interest. And that's not a bad thing. It's just the idea that people are motivated to work for their own benefit. And last but not least, limited government interference. These became the new rules of the game, so to speak.
All right, so we've got the rules of the game. But how does this engine actually work, on a day-to-day basis? Well, it really boils down to three core mechanics: supply, demand, and somebody's willingness to take a risk.
At its heart, the US system is built on capitalism. And all that really means is that private individuals or businesses, not the government, own the resources. They own the factories, the tools, even the ideas. And what actually gets made? Well, that's decided by the market.
And that market is in a constant dance, governed by two really powerful opposing forces: supply and demand. It's super simple, really. Supply is just how much of something is available. Demand is how many people want it. And the constant push and pull, this little tug of war between the two, is what ends up setting the price for, well, pretty much everything.
This table lays it out perfectly. Think about it. When that brand new smartphone drops and everyone wants one, but there aren't enough to go around, that's low supply, super high demand. And what happens? The price shoots up. Now flip that. Imagine a store with racks and racks of heavy winter coats, but it's the middle of May. That's high supply, basically zero demand, and you know those coats are going to go on sale. The price drops. It's such a simple concept, but it's incredibly powerful. Okay, so we've got a market full of buyers and sellers, supply and demand doing their thing. But who's the person that actually steps into that gap? Who's the one that sees what people want and says, you know what, I'm going to risk my own time and money to make that for them? Well, that's where the real hero of this whole story comes in: the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is the spark plug, the catalyst for everything. They're the ones who spot a need in the market, build a whole business to fill that need, and, crucially, they're the ones who take on all the financial risk. It's that drive, that willingness to take a chance that fuels innovation, creates jobs, and keeps the whole system humming along and staying competitive.
Now let's circle back to something we mentioned earlier: limited government interference. This is a really, really important piece of the puzzle, and honestly, it's something a lot of people misunderstand. It's all about finding that perfect balance.
Right, so the key thing to get here is that this doesn't mean it's some kind of economic Wild West, a total free-for-all. Limited interference absolutely does not mean zero interference. Think of the government's role as being the referee in a game. They're not a player, they're not trying to score points for one team or the other, they're there to make sure everyone plays fair. And that role really breaks down into three main jobs. First, the government protects us. It enforces things like safety standards and laws against monopolies to keep things fair. Second, it enables businesses, letting them operate freely so they can respond quickly to what we, the consumers, actually want. And third, it encourages a healthy economy by basically creating an environment where competition and new ideas can really flourish. And when you put all of that together, that's the end goal, right? The U.S. free enterprise system, when it's working the way it's supposed to, is really just a framework. It's a framework that gives individuals and businesses the freedom to compete, the freedom to innovate and create new things, and the freedom for all of us to choose what we want. And that brings us right back to where we started. So seriously, take a second, look around you, right now. The device you're watching this on, the shirt you're wearing, maybe the coffee cup on your desk. Which one of those started as nothing more than a single idea in one person's head? It's kind of a wild thought, isn't it? When you realize just how much of our world is built on that simple foundation.